Everyone, and welcome to the Friday, July 7th edition of StudentLoanJustice.org. My name is Alan Collins. We are Student Loan Justice. We are the oldest, largest, first, and only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. If you're new to the group, welcome. I hope that you will tell everyone you know with student loans about this group, particularly tonight. So I got a couple announcements. Let's see. If you can donate, please do it. Have to start with that. Sorry about that. We need 28 people to donate $10 or more, hopefully by the end of the weekends, for to keep the proverbial and actual lights on. Please help with that. Also, if you're willing to be interviewed, we've got a national newspaper who are looking for just normal people, normal borrowers who are worried about the turning on of the repayment pause in September. So if you want to be interviewed, send me an email. We've already gotten quite a few in, but you know, we're always looking for very compelling stories. My email is alan@studentloanjustice.org. So where do we go from here, ladies and gentlemen? It's been a long journey. You know, we've been around for 18 years, but just cutting to only the past 3.5 years, it's been quite incredible to see how the concept of canceling student loans by executive order came from this group. And it started out with an interview we did with Vice News, August 2019. But it really started with our petition in March 2020, change.org/cancel student loans. And then 6 months or so after that, the Democrats picked up the concept. And lo and behold, last week we had a Supreme Court decision on an actual sitting president's student loan cancellation by executive order ruling, which did not go in our favor. So, ladies and gentlemen, here's where we go from here. The past 3.5 years has proven what I've been saying this whole time, and that is, unless we get the leverage of bankruptcy protections back on our side, whether we would ever or never file, it doesn't matter. It's not important. Unless and until we get the leverage of bankruptcy returned to these loans, Joe Biden or the next president are going to be playing these games with us with these, in my opinion, humble opinion, feckless loan cancellation gimmicks like Biden's was, perhaps insincere, perhaps with no real desire to actually see the cancellations happen. We've seen this trick played for 18 years, guys. The number one trick of the bad guys, our opposition, the people who are making a ton of our money, taking a ton of our money, not earning, taking, from this unconscionable, unconstitutional loan scam. The trick that they like to play is to foist a fake loan cancellation gimmick on us to keep us quiet, to keep us paying, and to keep the constitutionally enshrined right of bankruptcy gone from the loans. That's true, ladies and gentlemen. If you're new to this, if you don't know much about student loans, and who can blame you, take my very well-studied, long-observed word for it. Bankruptcy is the kryptonite of the student loan program. It is stripped uniquely from student loans. As long as we, the people, are denied this very important legal protection, just in violation of the Constitution, by the way. Founding Fathers called for uniform bankruptcy laws ahead of the power to declare war or raise an army. Founding Fathers also called for equal protection under the law, and student loan borrowers who are financially needy by definition, by the way, we are not given equal protection under the bankruptcy laws for student loans. So as long as this very important point of leverage is gone from us, it exists for all other loans, by the way, literally all other loans. As long as it's uniquely gone from us, we can be begging Joe Biden or the next president forever to cancel student loans. And what we'll get is the nonsense that we just saw. So, ladies and gentlemen, and we've been saying this has been our number one goal the whole time we've been in existence. Our number one goal remains, and we need way more help from you sitting there to get the constitutionally enshrined right of bankruptcy returned to the loans. That truly will solve this problem. They're going to have to cancel loans broadly, meaningfully, deeply when we get the threat of bankruptcy back on our side. They're going to have to start working to make sure that people make it through the various income-driven repayment programs rather than the vast majority being disqualified out of these income-driven repayment plans. Those are the loan cancellation gimmicks that have been foisted on us, guys. By the way, this goes back to 1995, but it really got going in 2007. Income-based repayment, public service loan forgiveness came in those years. Subsequent years, pay-as-you-earn, repay came in. These were all to quell the masses, guys, and to keep this predatory loan scam, and it is a scam, going. So as a practical matter, that's what we have to fight for, guys. And there is very little opposition to the concept of bankruptcy. Very little public opposition, I should say. But there's a very dark and seedy and very serious opposition to returning bankruptcy to student loans from all quarters of Washington, D.C., from the Treasury Department, from the Department of Education is probably number one, the Education Department, probably the Treasury Department, the colleges, make no mistake, they don't want to upset the apple cart. They like the bankruptcy laws exactly as they are. NGOs, these think tanks in Washington, D.C., I could go on and on and on talking about the secret little handshakes that go on behind our backs, under our nose, to keep bankruptcy gone from the loans. We came very close last congressional session, by the way. We finally got a really good bill. Senator Dick Durbin and 2 Republicans. Durbin is a Democrat, in case you didn't know. And by the way, we're a fiercely nonpartisan group. Whatever your political stripes are, you're very welcome here. We hate both the Republicans and the Democrats in different ways. We came very close to getting bankruptcy returned last session, guys. Very close. But at the last minute, and I have to be honest here, the Democrats betrayed us. The Democrats chose, despite having a promise to return bankruptcy rights to student loans in the DNC platform going back to 2016, the Democrats betrayed us blatantly. They just did, and that's true. We had a great bill. It would have passed both the House and the Senate with flying colors, bipartisan, by the way. But I think what was really missing, guys, is more people fighting for it. With loan cancellation, with that topic sucking all the air out of the room and forcing all the D's to one side and all the R's to the other side, it turned out to be a major distraction. And I think that was a feature, not a bug, guys. I think that the people who are trying to keep this lending program going know very well what they're doing. And and if you have any questions or comments, by the way, I'm very happy to read them aloud on air. So as a practical matter, what does that mean for our group? Well, number one, we need way more people to be getting active, way more. Last year, on any given day, I'd say maybe 300, 400, 500 people were doing stuff. We've got 1.4 million people in this group, ladies and gentlemen. At least if you look at our petition and with 1.2 million, our Facebook group, we're probably closer to 1.5 million actually. But dude, those numbers are meaningless unless and until you sitting there actually help. This is a working, fighting group, guys. We're not here to entertain you. We're not here to make you feel better about yourself. We're not here to blow smoke up your ass. Like the other groups, all of whom are completely silent, by the way, on the bankruptcy issue, do. The other groups that we've seen, they are quite frankly corrupted. They are making money by they're essentially using their groups as hunting grounds. At least certainly one of them is Student Debt Crisis, for example. They use their group as hunting grounds, and a legion, an army of predators, of parasites, haunt their groups, trying to get people to consolidate their loans, to rehabilitate their loans, to refinance their loans. Who knows? Trying to be a debt coach or a debt counselor or a student loan lawyer. Yeah, they're trying to make money off of your ass, guys. They have no true intention of solving this problem. So interesting that the other groups are they're either completely silent on the bankruptcy issue, or they literally oppose bankruptcy. And that is a hallmark of a corrupted organization that has no true intentions of solving this problem, ladies and gentlemen. The past 3.5 years have proven beyond any doubt that we're not going to see meaningful student loan cancellation or whatever you want to see happen with your loans. Maybe you want to break on interest. Maybe you want some other negotiated settlement. Whatever you want for your student loans, we're not going to see it unless and until we have the power of bankruptcy back on our side, as the founding fathers called for in the Constitution. As I said, ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army. It's just not going to happen, guys. The founding fathers were pretty smart when they called for uniform bankruptcy laws, aka rights, in the Constitution. So, guys, this is very serious. The loans will be turned back on September 1st. And I can tell you, 18 years, guys, 18 years doing this, very seriously doing this, 18 years. The debt collection industry, they want nothing more than to see these loans turned back on and the right of bankruptcy remaining gone from the loans and statutes of limitations, I should probably also say. But bankruptcy is the number one, guys. As long as bankruptcy's gone and statutes of limitations, we are fish over in a barrel. We are like turkey at the Thanksgiving dinner, served up on a platter to the student debt collection industry. So any of the other groups that are not calling strongly for bankruptcy, and that would be all of them, I would hope that you would ask them the very tough questions. And by the way, we did an in-depth interview about this whole thing on Fox News Radio last week. If you go to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and you look, and you can hear an in-depth interview for yourself, so that I don't have to explain it all over again. But yeah, that's very important. Okay, guys, so I'm going to look for your comments now, and I'm going to keep it rather, hopefully, short tonight. I think we've already gone on for maybe a little longer than I was hoping, but I hope everybody will take heart. You know, there's a couple things that you need to know. The student, particularly if you're new to the group, the student loan system has catastrophically failed. Before the pandemic, 3 out of 5 of all borrowers had stopped paying on their loans. That's nearly 60% of all borrowers had stopped paying on their student loans before the pandemic. So what do you think the non-payment rate is going to be when they turn these loans back on? Is it going to be 70%? Yeah. Is it going to be 75%? Yeah. Is it going to be 80%? Probably. We're talking about the overwhelming majority of student loan borrowers not paying on their loans. Now, in my humble opinion, nobody should pay. In my humble opinion, I think it's not only unwise, I think it's unpatriotic to feed your hard-earned money into this unconstitutional loan scam. People will make their own decisions, but I will only say, if you ever do pay another dollar on your federal student loans, you are going to be in the small minority of all borrowers. Everybody makes their own decisions, whatever. I'm just telling you what the facts are, and you can make your own decision on that. So as a group, as a practical matter, what I would like to do, obviously, we continue to push the House and the Senate very hard. The key people this year are going to be, again, Dick Durbin in the Senate, because he runs the Judiciary Committee, Jim Jordan and other members of the House Judiciary Committee, particularly the Republicans, by the way. As I said, we're officially a nonpartisan group, guys. We've got to talk to both parties. Whether you love them or hate them, we've got to push them. It's the most important thing. You know, if we don't get our bankruptcy rights back by September 1st, guys, it's going to be a bloodbath. And so people need to be taking this very seriously, because these are your loans and this is your problem. So we as a group, there's a couple of projects I'm kicking around in my mind. We're still kind of waiting for the dust to settle in the wake of the Supreme Court ruling. Cancellation is not dead, by the way. The Democrats are going to try again, I suspect. They're going to draw this out through the next election, I am sure, because politically, this issue is a gold mine for the Democrats. I think student loans are what cost Donald Trump the election in 2020. In fact, I'm sure of it. In fact, there's absolutely no doubt in my mind. In very important states like Georgia, like Michigan, like Nevada, Pennsylvania, those states are inordinately buried in student loan debt. And the Republicans gave student loan borrowers absolutely nothing to fight for. And by the way, more than half of all student loan borrowers are either Republican or independent. The last I checked, 70% of all student loan borrowers were either Republican or independent. I kid you not. So the numbers are huge. And the Republicans are just absolutely alienating their base. So there's every reason for the Republicans to get on board with simply returning bankruptcy rights to the loans. And by the way, many conservatives from the Cato Institute, from the Federalist Society, from the National Review, from George Mason University, all over the map of conservatism, many leading conservatives have joined us in the call, or also called, I don't know if they're like, yeah, we're in your club now, Alan. I don't think they even know about us, quite frankly. But many conservatives have echoed our call for the return of bankruptcy protection to student loans. So this isn't a battle that's, quite frankly, very easily won. Far, 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 far easier than any nonsense loan cancellation gimmick that Joe Biden might throw up. So it all depends on how hard we on this group, and I kid you not, on this group fight. We're it, guys. We're the only group fighting this battle. The other groups, for whatever reasons, and you should look very hard at those groups, ask them the very tough questions, by the way. We're it. We're the tip of the spear. In fact, we are the spear. We're the eye of the storm. In fact, we are the storm, ladies and gentlemen. And if we're not fighting, then we absolutely will lose this battle. And I'm talking to you. I'm talking to people out there who have never done anything. We don't want wallflowers in this group, guys. We don't want them. We don't need them. If you don't intend on actually helping us fight, then you should just scram. We need fighters on this group. And sorry about that. That's how democracy works, if you haven't noticed. Hey, Lisa Ansel's with us tonight. Hey, Lisa. Lisa says, as long as the banking industry pulls the strings, we will never see bankruptcy protections returned. Thank Citizens United for this travesty. I actually disagree, Lisa. I think it's reached a tipping point. And, you know, we've seen bills come and go over the past 18 years. We came very, very close last session, closer than we ever have before. And now, and again, I'm working on the assumption that politicians are rational, and the elections depend on, at a minimum, the Republicans standing up and returning bankruptcy student loans. Elections also depend, and remember, the Democrats are in the doghouse right now, guys, not because the student loan cancellation didn't go through, although that's true. Everybody's like, yeah, Biden let us down. That's true. But the Democrats betrayed us blatantly last congressional session. So both parties should be strongly inclined to return the constitutional right of bankruptcy to student loans. But yeah, and you know, another thing I might add, Lisa, it was far harder to get bankruptcy back before 2010, when the majority of the student loans were held by private banks. It was, for all intents, impossible. So you're right. The banking industry definitely does pull some strings. Now, today, however, though, guys, things have changed. The federal government owns the vast majority of student loan debt. And so the political dynamics have changed quite a lot. Lisa says, for some reason, Durbin went dark at the last minute and hasn't mentioned bankruptcy once thus far. Your thoughts? I know, Lisa. Well, I can tell you exactly what happened, at least from my perspective. We talked very closely with our colleagues, allies, and others in the Senate. And I can tell you that at the last minute, the historically black colleges and universities stood up and opposed this legislation. So this legislation, so you people know, it was a Senate bill, S-2598. The bill returned bankruptcy rights to student loans with a 10-year waiting period. Wasn't perfect, but still pretty good. But the legislation also had a clawback provision in it, whereby the colleges, at least on paper, would have been responsible to reimburse the federal government for up to half of the amount that was originally borrowed. So if you borrowed 10 grand and it exploded up to, $80,000, and you file for bankruptcy and get a discharge of the entire amount, which may or may not happen, the college would be on the hook to reimburse the federal government, not $40,000, not $80,000, but rather $5,000. So it was a pretty moderate clawback. But at the last minute, the historically black colleges and universities publicly opposed this legislation. And that's what the people in the Senate tell me was the reason that Durbin, and I think the people in the House as well, we had a House companion bill, why they didn't advance the legislation. Now, what do I think really happened? Yeah, I think that did happen, but honestly, guys, I think there was a lot more to it than that. I think all of the colleges didn't like it. I think the lenders, certainly the for-profit colleges, I think the lenders and a whole nest of swamp creatures in and around Washington, D.C., including people at the Department of Education, including people at the Treasury. I think there's a lot of people did not want this to happen. And so they used the HBCUs as a fall guy. That's what I think happened. And by the way, if you happen to be a person of color, if you happen to be African American, I can only hope and beg you to call out the HBCUs for this. People, African Americans, black people, are hurt so much worse than average citizens by these loans. The outcomes are just so much worse. The ironies just never end. Why would the HBCUs oppose this? It defies imagination. And the HBCUs will not give a reason. They won't say anything publicly about it, by the way. So, and who knows what other kind of secret handshakes were going on in the dark. We've seen this sort of nonsense in the past, but guys, I'm here to tell you, we control the lending system. Make no mistake. If even 10% of the people on our group, 10%, 1 in 10, we're doing our daily actions, for example, and you can see our daily actions, by the way, at our website. Let me just dial it in. We also have a bit.ly link for you, SLJ Daily Action. If even 10% of the people on our group were doing those daily actions, we would have gotten bankruptcy. It would have been a slam dunk. We probably would have gotten it done years ago. But certainly we would have got it done last session. We have all the muscle we need, guys. We have a massive muscle to flex. And again, publicly at least, almost no one will write an op-ed trying to argue that bankruptcy should remain gone from student loans, because everybody knows, and this is not even controversial. Nobody wants to be the guy to argue against returning bankruptcy rights to student loans. There's no argument. There is none. There's none. There's no argument. There are no other loans in this country have been uniquely excluded from standard bankruptcy protections. Secured, unsecured loans, government loans, non-government loans, you name it. They all have bankruptcy rights. Only student loans in the world of loans have been uniquely singled out. By the way, guys, this is the camel's nose under the tent. If they can do what they did to other loans, to what they did to student loans to other loans, they will. And they'll be coming for you, as they say. I've been hearing murmurs for a few years now about some dark forces that would love to make medical debts similarly non-dischargeable in bankruptcy, erecting this undue hardship hurdle that nobody can clear, and it's nobody really even should try to clear. They will do that. This is the camel's nose under the tent, guys. I'm just saying. So yeah, do our daily actions. If you're wondering what you can do, that's the first thing you can do. The second thing you can do is join our state chapters. We've got 50 pretty full state chapters now, guys. I think our biggest one is getting on towards 1,000 members. That would be California. But I think most of our groups have around 100 members, at least on average at this point, probably more. So Lisa also says, the bots on Twitter always come back with, why should bankruptcy return when there is no collateral? Right. I was on NPR yesterday, and that's what the guy said. The government makes and insures all manner of loans, secured, unsecured, all of those loans, FEMA loans, you name it. All of those loans have the same uniform bankruptcy protections as any other loans. In the private sector, credit cards, unsecured loan, lines of credit, unsecured loan, all kinds of unsecured loans out there. All of those loans have standard bankruptcy protections, guys. Only student loans have been uniquely singled out. So they can try and say that, but it's nonsense. Other people will say, Oh, well, no, because back in the 70s, people would graduate from college and they just go to bankruptcy court and discharge their debts. No, that's false. That never, ever happened. When student loans were treated the same as all other loans in bankruptcy proceedings, the discharge rate was 0.3%, 0.3%. That's a lower discharge rate than all other loans, by the way, at that time, I'm told. Hey, Ann Cooper's with us. Ann says, I heard a lot of the Trump followers were banned from Twitter when Trump was removed, so they can't probably do the daily actions if they involve Twitter. Yeah, and, unfortunately, we are sort of increasingly, we are slave to the social media networks. So our Facebook group and our daily actions largely rely on Twitter. It's true. So I'm sorry about that, but I would just say, you can copy and paste our Twitter stuff on Getter, on, I don't know, Rumble, whatever the other platforms are out there for conservatives. You can do it. You can find a way. But, don't expect anyone on this group to pull your weight for you, ladies and gentlemen. As I've said a couple times tonight, and it's the most important thing, nobody on this group can carry your weight for you. It all depends on you. You sitting there. In many ways, this group is the victim of large numbers, as we get larger, and we've got, as I said, over 1 million members now. As we get larger, people just assume that a big gang of people, not them, but a whole big gang of people are doing these daily actions. No, that's not true. On any given day, I see a few hundred people doing our daily actions. That's not quite enough. It's almost enough, but it's not quite enough to win this battle for us, guys. But, if 10% of the people on our group are doing the daily actions, it'd be 140,000 people a day melting the switchboards of the phone banks in Washington, D.C., overwhelming the Twitter accounts of whoever we target. That's a muscle, guys, and that's a very real muscle. And it will only happen when you help us flex it. 18 years, guys. I'm getting old. I'm getting tired of this shit. I'm getting too old for this shit, in the immortal words of Danny Glover and Mel Gibson. I can only hope and pray that people out there will realize, okay, this is actually my shit that's on the line here, and it is. We've seen what the other groups will do for us. We've seen what the political establishment will do for us, and we've seen what this group can accomplish with very few people actually participating. Very few. The one thing that has to change, and only you have the power to change that, is that more people, including you, especially you, only you, maybe, have to pitch in. You've got to do your part. This is not a wait, watch, and worry and wonder what's going to happen movement. This is a make it happen fight. And we are the storm, guys. We are the tip of the spear. We are the only spear. We're the tip of the spear. We are the eye of the storm. We are the entire storm, guys. And so, not to overwhelm you with responsibility, but you cannot unhear that. And as corny as it may sound, the country actually needs you to step up. And I've seen Lisa Ansell out there, and Gordon, and Ann Cooper, and many others doing the hard work. Lisa Ansell has gotten, I think at this point, probably a dozen or more letters to the editor published. She's gotten at least, I think, 3, if not 4, full-on editorials published in places like the Los Angeles Times and the Jewish Journal. Maybe not everybody can do this, but everybody can get letters to the editor of their local newspaper published. That I do know. If you can type and you can use the internet and send an email, everybody can get a letter to the editor of their local newspaper published. So Gordon Wayne Watts, hey, Gordon in Florida, says, Virginia Fox told me she was against bankruptcy restoration because she said it would cost taxpayers. I respectfully disagree, as it would force lending down, not up, but she said she remained open-minded regarding Grothman's bill. Grothman's bill was pretty good, actually. Grothman, Wisconsin, had a clean repeal of the one line of code that makes bankruptcy protections uniquely gone from student loans. But Virginia Fox, I think she's one of the few politicians in Congress that we can probably never, ever count on. She's the worst person, I think, in all of Congress And that's been true going back to maybe like when John Boehner was still in office. But yeah, Virginia Fox is absolutely horrible. But just the fact that she said she'll keep an open mind on Grothman's bill is maybe saying something. And remember, guys, the worst hurt states are states like North Carolina, where Virginia Fox is from. In fact, the entire South, plus throw in New Hampshire, Colorado, Nevada, Maryland, I guess that's the South, Virginia, I guess that's the South, a couple of others I'm not thinking of. All those states that I just mentioned, Texas, student loan debt exceeds the entire state budget of those states. Like North Carolina, state budget $25 billion. The people of North Carolina owe $35 billion in mostly federal student loan debt. When are we going to see a letter to the editor of whatever the newspapers are in North Carolina, like the Charlotte Observer, for example? When is somebody in North Carolina going to write a letter to the editor simply saying student loan debt in North Carolina exceeds the entire state budget? What is this? What are our politicians doing? What is Virginia Fox doing? This is ridiculous. Enough. No more. When are we going to see that op-ed or that letter to the editor? Similarly, for all the states that I just mentioned. Hey, Joanna Kearns is with us from Florida. Hey, Joanna. Florida, also very important state, guys. Florida, state budget, $80 billion. Florida student loan debt, $120 billion. That's like the operating revenue of Disney World for like, I believe, 10 years. Think about that. I think Disney World pretty much runs the entire state of Florida, last I heard. By far and away the largest economic engine. Take that away for 10 years, and that's what you'd have to do to pay off, not even including interest, pay off the student loan debt of people in Florida. So, okay, guys, I hope and think that I've given you some food for thought. I hope you're inspired. More than anything, that I hope that you will get off your ass. And more than anything, I hope you will tell everyone you know about this group. Because, guys, we are it. I know it's not sexy. I know we don't have, $1 million laying around to pay a lobbyist or a marketing department. We're no frills, guys. We're as grassroots get. We are completely uncorrupted, and we've got a very big job ahead. And to all of those of you who have been doing the work, have been making the effort, have been speaking out, I salute you. You know I do. And I see you out there, and I couldn't be more thrilled to see that. But to everybody else, these are your loans. This is your problem. We need your help. I think Aaron, Gordon, Matthew, Joanna, and Lisa, the other people on this group who have been doing the hard work, I think they will tell you it feels very good. Jackie Abron in Texas, I think they will tell you it feels very good to fight this fight. Not to mention our fearless co-leader, Ed McKinley. He's on extended sabbatical. Ed, if you happen to be watching, we love you, man. Hope everything's going well in your neck of the woods, as they say. So I will leave it there at that, guys. Please just think about things and do the right thing. We need you. We want you. We need you. We can't do this without you. So have a great weekend. Good luck. God bless. And Godspeed, everyone.